When you're selling your home, how the house is presented when the buyer walks through the front door is crucial. There are 10 things that will help you sell the house faster and for more money. The goal is to have the buyers see themselves living in your space, and that starts with removing personal photos and kids' names. The reason you want to take those down is because the buyers need to emotionally move into the house before they write the offer. If they see all of your personal pictures, they see your memories, they see your home, they don't see the house that's on the market. And the reason is because buyers have a harder time seeing themselves living in a house if they see your memories hanging on the wall. When they're able to emotionally start moving into that house, they can start seeing where their pictures are hung. They can start seeing and visualizing where they put their furniture. That's when they start becoming emotionally attached. And when they become emotionally attached, that's when that offer amount starts to increase because they don't want to lose the house. And that applies to the kids' names as well. The thing to remember is that when you put your house on the market, you are opening your doors virtually to the entire World Wide Web. You will have detailed pictures inside and out showing everything that is inside your home. And unfortunately, we live in a world where there might be some less than honest people that see those pictures. And for security reasons, we want to take the names of your children out of the equation. The last thing you want is to have your daughter's or your son's name fall into the hands of the wrong person because they saw a picture of their bedroom online. Now, for all of these items, you're going to want to address these things before the house pictures are taken. And honestly, if you're moving anyways, you might as well start packing now and pack up those family photos, get it done, another item checked off your list. Now, the second thing that you want to pay attention to is if you have any surveillance systems. Now, that's not just security systems. That would apply to anything that records audio and video. So your Ring doorbells, your Alexas, your Google Homes, your Apple HomePods, anything that records audio and video. Now, you should check with your state laws to find out what type of disclosure is necessary for audio and video recording. But as a rule of thumb, I always advise just disclose the presence of the devices. Now, usually your agent will provide you with something, either hang something on the front door or put a card on the kitchen counter, but you absolutely want to make sure that you disclose the presence of any recording device. Now, a solution might be just to pack them up. If you have one of the HomePods, Alexas, it's easy to unplug and put it away. But if you do have like a Ring doorbell or any hardwired systems, then you'll definitely need to disclose that. Now, the third item is valuables. Now, that's anything in your home that you do not want to announce to the world that you have. Walk through your home and imagine you're seeing a picture of those items on the internet. If it's anything that might attract the wrong type of attention, you're gonna want to pack it away. Pictures, valuables, any kind of artwork, jewelry, expensive jewelry, anything that might attract the wrong type of attention. Ideally, you would remove it from the property entirely, put it in a safe deposit box, give it to someone to hold, or at the very least, stash it in the house out of sight. And when you're packing up those items, the next item on the list is medications and personal documents. Now, unfortunately, we live in a world where this is not uncommon. If open houses are customary in your area, you have to imagine that a stranger is walking through your house, and the agent that's hosting the open house cannot and will not be able to follow all of those people that are walking through the house. So that means that whoever that person is unattended walking into your bathroom. And could they easily open up a cabinet or a drawer or a closet? And if those medications, especially if it's a controlled substance, that is a major temptation. Now, although this is not super common, it does occur. It occurred in my area last year. We had a couple that was going from open house to open house for several months until the police ultimately ended up catching them. So you want to take all your medications, put them in a safe place, or remove them from the property. And the same goes for personal documents. I'm amazed when I go into a property and a seller will leave bills on a desk with account numbers, checkbooks out in plain sight, or computers left open. Any kind of financial documents, you want to make that stuff disappear. And if you have a filing cabinet that has a lot of personal documents in it, things with account numbers, checking account, savings account numbers, either make that cabinet disappear or lock it up. Now, the next item may not be all that common depending on where you are in the country, but it absolutely needs to be addressed, and that's firearms and weapons. Now, there are firearms laws, gun locks and safes, but you want to take it one step further. If you have any types of weapons, whether it be archery weapons or anything else that might be attractive to someone seeing it online, you want to get it out of the house. If you have a safe, a freestanding safe, you want to make it disappear. One idea is if you have a large safe, either in a basement or in a garage, you could take an oversized moving box and cut it to go over that safe. You do that before the pictures are taken, and no one will ever know that you even have a safe on the property. Now, I know all of this sounds a little bit extreme, and the reality of it is chances are nothing's going to happen. No one's going to steal your medications. No one's going to break in your house or harass your children online or try to steal your valuables. But why leave any of this to chance? Finding the right agent to help you prep your house for sale and give you honest feedback on what needs to happen is crucial. Over the course of my career, I have built relationships with the top agents in the country. If you need an agent in your local area, please click the link down below in the description. There's a short form to fill out. I'll get in touch with you to get a little bit more information about your situation and then connect you to that top agent. Now, the next item might be a little touchy for some people, and that is removing any political or religious items. The thing to remember is that we are marketing your house on the market. It is being transformed from your home, where you have free speech and you live in your home the way you want to live in your home, and we're transforming it into a property on the open market. And not everyone is going to feel the way you do on your personal choices. And if we want to try to bring in the most amount of people, the biggest audience, and have them open their wallets, we want to make them feel as welcome as possible. So going on the theme of you have to pack anyways, any and all political items, signs, flags, and whatnot, we want to make sure we get those packed up. On the religious side, I would lean into your agent for guidance in terms of what you need to take down. But I would absolutely, if you have a lot of things in your home, I would pare those back. Now, the next item is eliminating any signs of distress. And what I mean by that is anything that shows that if it's a divorce, if it's a pre-foreclosure, if it's someone is sick or you lost your job, anything that would send the message to the buyer that you have to sell. So for example, in a divorce situation, if one party has moved out, you might have one closet empty and one closet full, one nightstand empty, one nightstand full. Maybe they took some furniture, maybe they took some things out of the kitchen. At that point, you want to just stage the property. Maybe move some clothes to a closet to share the closet space. Maybe move some things over to the nightstand. You don't want to make it obvious that someone has moved out of the property. And like I mentioned earlier, you don't want to have any documents, any mail, paperwork left on the kitchen counter or on your home office desk. Because the reality is someone's not going to necessarily rifle through papers. However, you may have wandering eyes. And as a buyer is walking through a house, they may glance over. And if they see just by glancing over a letter from a bank or something that's stamped, an envelope that has a stamp on it, or anything of that nature, that will tell the buyer that you're in distress. That could lead to a buyer making a lower offer because they're going to leverage that situation against you. Now, the next item on the list can also be a touchy situation for some people, and that is pets and pet accessories. Now, I completely understand that for some people, pets are their children. They are an extension of the family. But the mindset that I really, really want you to get into is that not everyone feels that way about your pet. I am that way with dogs. I don't hate dogs, but I'm very uncomfortable with dogs. I am allergic to dogs. I've had a couple of not so great experiences with dogs. So when I walk into a property that has a dog, it doesn't matter how big or small that dog is. Even the small ones, if they come to me and they jump on my leg, I know they're being friendly, but it makes me uncomfortable. And the last thing you want is for a buyer to feel uncomfortable in the property that you want them to emotionally move into. So when you have buyers coming through the house, you want to make sure that you absolutely remove the pets from the property. Now, I realize that this might be a hardship for some people, but there are a lot of avenues and options to help with removing those pets. Depending on the size of the pet, you can do a carrier. You can take them with you that way. You can board. There are a lot of places that board pets temporarily. Maybe you can ask a neighbor to hold a pet. I have seen some situations where if you have an animal that is quiet, you have a cat that is okay with being in a cage short term, or a dog that doesn't bark, that's okay with being in a cage short term. I have had situations where a homeowner will actually put the animal in a pen, in a small kennel, put a blanket over that so that I will walk in and out of the house. I didn't even know there was an animal in the house because the animal didn't make a peep. And that's okay. It's not ideal for the buyer or the pet, but there are some other alternatives. The big thing is to not let the pet roam free in the house. And when it comes to pet accessories, you want to make that stuff disappear. Toys, water dishes, food bowls, cat litter boxes, any of that stuff, as much as possible. You want to either pick it up, put it in a corner, down the basement, or out of the way in a garage temporarily, or at the very least, cover it. Now that leads me to number 9 on the list, which is removing strong odors. Now this is a touchy situation. There is a condition called nose blindness. The medical term is actually olfactory fatigue. It's the temporary normal inability to distinguish a particular odor after a prolonged exposure in that airborne compound. In layman's terms, what that means is if you live in a house and you have pet odors, ultimately you will stop smelling those pet odors. How many times have you been into a house where you walk in and you say, "Oh, what is that smell?" And the homeowner says, "What smell?" I see that all the time, especially with animals, because after a prolonged time, you stop registering that. So the first thing is you want to rely on your real estate agent feedback. Now, I understand that not all real estate agents are going to tell you this, and they're not going to be upfront because they're afraid of hurting your feelings and all the things. I hope that your agent will be upfront with you, but just to be on the safe side, I would ask your family and your friends, ask your neighbors, "Hey, is there an odor? Do you smell anything?" And that odor could also not only be animals, but it also could be food. If you cook a lot of fragrant foods, that will get into your draperies, it'll get into your carpet. The same goes for cigarette smoke, cigars, or anything of that nature. That odor gets into any kind of fabric. And plugging a Febreze into the wall is not going to cut it, because now you have a flowery scent covering up an existing scent, and it actually makes it worse. Now, thankfully, there are a ton of different things that you can do. Drapes, you can easily take those down, have those laundered or dry cleaned. Now, when it comes to the carpet or the furniture, there are a lot of great cleaning products, a lot of odor fighting products. I will actually leave in the description a couple links of products that I've used. I had a cat at one point in time when we moved into our house years ago that decided to mark every room in the house as his own. And we used this product on the subfloor, and it was amazing. Got rid of the odor. That was 24 years ago. Never smelled it again. So I'll leave that link. Hopefully it helps. But the big thing is to address it. Don't assume, "Oh, the buyers will get over it," or maybe it's not as bad. Address it, get ahead of it, because the last thing you want to do is have a buyer not show the property or show interest in the property, or make an offer that's lower because they're a little turned off by the smell that's there. And then the last thing on the list is unfinished projects. Now, I understand that you may not be able to finish all of your unfinished projects. Every homeowner that I know has a list of projects, myself included, that doesn't seem to go away. You always have unfinished projects. However, it's important that you make a list of everything that's not done and then prioritize that list, because psychologically, when a buyer walks into a house and there are numerous unfinished projects, they start forming an opinion on the house. And depending on what the projects are, you don't want them to wonder what else is wrong. Not only that, they may see an unfinished project and overestimate what it would cost to finish that project, and then make an offer reflective of that cost. So make that list. You want to start with the mechanical, roof, windows, anything that's started, and have those finished. And on some projects, you might have to say, "Well, that's good enough," and you may have to let it go of anything that's cosmetic, but there may be some projects that you want to see to the end. I made a video recently about 5 repairs that will improve your property value. You can check that out here. Some of those repairs might end up helping you improve that property value. So make the list, prioritize the list, and then try to address as much as you can before the house hits the market. Taking time to address these items is going to require some work, but it will be worthwhile in the long run, especially if you can avoid any issues with inspections or maybe get a higher offer from a buyer. And some of these items will actually protect you in the long run from potentially maybe even being sued. Now, I made a video recently about that very topic. You can check that out here. I'm Jen Sylvester, and I'm here to help you be a savvy home seller.